Well, hello and welcome to the Refuge Podcast. I'm Jonathan, your host, and today I am joined by the one, the only Ross Fuller. Hello, Ross.
Hello, Jonathan. How you doing today?
I am doing okay. I'm a little tired. How about you?
About the same, Nothing like a thunderstorm to make you run a little bit.
Yeah, thunderstorm right in the middle of our pilot live stream that was going so well, and then it wasn't.
So well for the 2 minutes we were running before it.
Literally up. It was over. But hey, we picked it back up. We shot it again, and I think it went well. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. Good place to start. Always room to improve.
And
We got a good baseline.
I think so. And if you don't know what we're talking about, then you need to head over to the Refuge Facebook page and check out Wednesday Night Live. Every Wednesday night, live at 6 p.m. Absolutely, you need to check that out. But Ross, we're not here to talk about Wednesday Night Live. I think we're here to talk about football.
Okay.
Do you like football, Ross?
I like it a little bit.
A little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like football?
12.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think I watch football?
4.
Is that like I watched maybe 4 games last season? 4?
As long as you watch the big ones.
I watched maybe 2 games last season.
It's all good.
And it might have been like half of one game, really.
If you put all the pieces together and you watch SportsCenter enough, I'm pretty sure we can cobble 3 games out of that.
I mean, I don't watch SportsCenter. Am I supposed to be watching SportsCenter?
It's okay.
Okay. So I really don't watch a lot of football. That's not to say that I don't like football. I do like football. I like it enough to turn it on and watch it with my family and fall asleep by the second quarter. Like it's like golf or NASCAR. You turn it on and I fall asleep. It's like a nap to it.
It's out.
I wake up by the fourth quarter. I know what's happening and we're all good. That's about my relationship with football, I think. But I think we do share one common interest. Like I think we both have like a preferred team. Like we have the same favorite, right?
I hope so.
Like Roll Tide?
Yeah, Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Okay, good. So I didn't want to I had a lot of options to bring on somebody to talk about football, but a lot of those options we mainly would have just argued over something I know nothing about, and they would have schooled me on why Tennessee is better,
Yeah. That, or, it's like you can't come to a Sunday sermon sometimes without hearing the other words.
Well, But, so, my limited understanding is that SEC just put out maybe a limited schedule, or what was going on with that? What happened?
All right, so 10-game, all SEC schedule. So, when there's always the cupcakes that lead in, and then you finally get into the meat of your SEC schedule?
You mean, okay, so for a couple years I went to Jacksonville State University, and I got to go there in 2010 when the University of Mississippi.
Ole Miss, yeah.
Ole Miss, that's the one. I'll get it right eventually. Ole Miss decided to put Jack State as their opening game because they thought we were pushovers.
That worked very well for them, didn't it?
Oh man, we rode that high through the entire regular season. We won every game. We were undefeated. It was amazing.
So, Michelle, JSU grad, class of 03-ish?
Okay.
Yeah, 03. And, that game, she went nuts. I mean, there was no calming her down.
I was there. I was lucky enough to be there. It's actually the only time I've been at an SEC proper stadium. Like I've been to Tuscaloosa, but I haven't been to a game in Tuscaloosa, right? So I haven't been in Bryant-Denny Stadium. At least know the name of the stadium. And I have, okay, I take that back. Later that year, I did go to Auburn's homecoming game. So I have been to Auburn Stadium. It's really pretty. That's a pretty campus. I mean, may not be a fan, but their campus is very pretty.
I can give them the due credit. It is a very pretty campus.
But Ole Miss is the first actual college football stadium that I've been to, and it blew my mind. Like, it was crazy. And it was packed. This was like a pushover game, and it was packed. It was insane. It was fun, though.
They were just hoping they'd win.
War Eagle.
It went into overtime. That was anyways, don't need to live that nostalgia. So what you're saying is no cupcake teams, no pushovers.
Well, the only cupcakes are going to be like, I'm not going to name any names. I don't want to hurt any feelings.
So again,
but
I don't know. I really don't know who's the cupcakes in the SEC. Let's go ahead and draw the dividing lines now.
I'm hoping I'm hoping there's not so much of a letdown this year with some teams, but Arkansas. Um, but we got a couple new coaches. You're gonna see Twitter fire with some of these coaches. I mean, you got Kiffin back at Ole
Kiffin,
Miss.
Lane Kiffin.
Yes.
Uh,
And
where?
Mike Leach.
Okay, Lane Kiffin was where? Where was he?
FAU.
Okay.
Post Bama.
It-
And then that was.
Oh, he was at Bama.
He was offensive coordinator for a little bit.
That's right. And now where is he at?
Ole Miss.
Oh, I mean, come on.
It's going to be a running gut. But
Yeah.
listen, I mean, I always look forward to the SEC games every year.
Yeah.
And this year is nothing but. Too bad attendance is going to be at 20%. So get used to the couch, get you a good area. No tailgating. I think Auburn said no tailgating this year.
Because that's not a blanket rule, though. It's just
I don't know. I've been a little bit busy, so I hadn't followed up too much.
so.
But I'm just getting ready. I want to see some football.
So I understand you, though. You have tickets, right?
Yes, I am fortunate enough that not this year. We don't spend enough money to get to that 20%.
So that's what I was going to ask. Like, you recently received an email or something about your tickets that you've paid for, right? And
Yes, my brother-in-law got his name drawn first, so we split a pair. But yeah, it's they're having a hard time coming off that money, but they will.
Okay, so you will probably definitely get the refund
I hope so.
for the games that you're not going to get to go to, even though they sold you tickets to the games.
Let's
that
hope so. I'm
they-
pretty sure. We
okay.
Will, yeah.
That would make sense to me. Like, I get that, like, it's the NCAA and the SEC, and they're all about that money.
What
But-
part of the last 6 months have made sense?
Nothing. The last 6 months have felt. I'm pretty sure everybody's heard this from every influential person ever. But the last 6 months really have felt like maybe 2 years worth of time.
Yeah, I can vouch for some of that. I mean, I never thought we'd be at softball practice with 8U softball, and instead of cheering up, breaking it down in the middle, it's like, all right, girls, COVID circle. And then it's like, I got tell them when they got to wait in their line to bat. There's no sharing equipment, so you can't try bats out from other girls. But you got to tell them, remember in PE, and you got to put your fingers out. Don't touch the person next to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell them, all right, Rona fingers. Put your Rona fingers out. Don't touch.
Rona fingers. I haven't heard that one,
Yeah.
but that's. So Ross, outside of football, because we shouldn't cause too much strife across the football lines. Outside of football, give us for those who may not know what you do behind the scenes for the Refuge in Wesley. Just give us flatter yourself for a bit, and if you don't, I will.
I'll go into a little detail. Nobody likes nuts and bolts too bad. I do a lot of sound, a lot of lighting, a lot of carrying and moving. Kind of what it needs to be done, we'll find a way to make it happen. If there's, for example, when we were spinning up at Refuge at the Priceville campus, it was kind of a lot of sandboxing, trying to figure out what was happening, how we're going to do this. And fortunately, you get enough irons in the fire, you get some good ideas, and then you can build off that, but you got to start somewhere. So,
True story.
But yeah, it's a little bit of that.
Yeah, I mean, back when we launched the Refuge, I believe you headed up a lot of what we actually implemented. I mean, I think I could name a few right off the top of my head: the stage, the projection system, we'll say, projector screen, the whole deal. All of the trussing and hardware, lighting, everything that goes into that. Have I left anything out? I feel like I've left something out.
Well, I can't take credit for a lot of things. I will say I am strong in the Google foo. So,
Which was much appreciated because, we had a lot of brains going a lot of different directions. So you just kind of jumped in and said, I've Googled it, I've researched it, here's what I found. And you presented us with the options, and we all sat down at a table for like an hour and a half one day. We went through 4 hours?
that was a half day of work. I got to work after lunch.
Okay, 4 hours that day. and we went through all the options. You explained everything. You answered all the questions, and at the end of the day, we still didn't make a decision.
No, we had a list of decisions. We made one. We
We
picked
ma-
stage.
We did.
We
That's
picked
right.
stage.
We made
but there
one
was
decision.
nothing else.
It's okay. We got there in the end, and I'm pretty sure everything you researched is eventually we all came around and said, you know what, that is the right call. We should definitely do that. So, but speaking of lighting, I got a question for you
Mhm.
because some people agree or disagree, but you know, there's a controversy here. Is lighting important?
Well, if you want to see what you're looking at. But no, it's one of those things to where, okay, let's take McWhorter, for example.
Okay, that McWhorter is the stage we happen to be on right now.
Right.
Yep.
You know, where the traditional service at Wesley was. You've got 2 sets of double doors
Mhm.
with very narrow windows. There is 0 light coming in here.
It's if you turn the lights off, it's dark.
Right. So without stage lighting, you're going to have either very bright LEDs or a little bit of top-down lighting. So putting it on camera doesn't look good, or just sitting alone, it can look very sterile. So
Mhm.
you kind of want to, you know, make it hold your attention.
So I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here because for most of the lighting points, I think we agree. You know, like you and I will sit down at Light Key and just obsess over like percentage of differences in park hands.
30%, I better make it 35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I'll play the devil's advocate and do the best that I can to raise plenty of the valid points I think that come up in this argument because I don't want to do it a disservice. So to your point that like it's dark in here, and I think we can say on a vague sense, broad stroke, lighting is important because if you don't have light, you cannot see. That's period. So if you turn lights on, you are using lighting. You are using a lighting system of some kind. So I guess the question would be, how much lighting is too much lighting? So some would argue that just turn your lights on. You have lights in here, just turn them on. Why do you need all the spotlights and all the color lights and all the hazers and all the flashy stuff and the seizure stuff? Like, why do you need all of that?
Well, yes, sometimes just turning the light on is sufficient. And then, but, you know, you can get too much light. For instance, with drive-in, sun was great. It was beautiful. It was a pretty day. But then we started getting a lot of it, and then all the cameras started overheating.
This is true, yeah.
But, you know, the biggest thing is in a worship sense, in a worship environment.
Mhm.
We don't want to have it for the sake of having it. It's not a toy to play with. We want to bring people in. We want to make a seamless space.
Okay.
So when I'm sitting and trying to decide what light to use or colors, I'm like several times people may remember when we went red and yellow lighting on stage with just the gels. It was Pentecost. And, of course, I did my best on our old system to try to program a slight pattern, but that was proving fruitless, so I
You work with what you're given, right?
Exactly. But, you know, the biggest thing is, you know, you want to create an environment. You don't want it to be a distraction. Or what's great is sometimes with lighting, you can hide the distractions.
Okay.
You can, case in point, what we've done with the stage at times. You darken the corners. You bring your attention to the middle.
Mhm.
So you can let it do some of the work with the camera for you.
Okay. Yeah, I think when it comes to on camera, live stream, anytime we're recording, I think it's a given that stage lighting, it's a given. You have to, because you have to get enough light to the sensors. You have to get shadows off of faces, all those things, all those nitpicky details that go into lighting. I think it's a given when it comes to on camera. But let's, for the sake of argument, let's take the cameras out. Let's say it's just a typical Sunday morning, no live stream, pre-COVID. So we have this place packed out like we did last year kind of thing, right? Why? One of the things you said, I think, is you want to you can use lighting to eliminate distractions, and I agree with this 100%. I think lighting is one of your biggest tools to eliminate distractions, right? Well, that and just don't have distractions.
Yeah.
But that's impossible sometimes, you know. So lighting is one of your biggest tools to do that. Lighting is amazing in how it can do that. But why does the focus have to be on the stage? I guess would be my question.
Well, if that's where your speaker's going to be, that's where all your information's going to be.
Hmm.
Uh, it helps. It's going to accentuate it. But I mean, we haven't. I mean, we've used some of the other tricks before, like in the gym at Priceville. We had our house lighting up to the side,
Hmm.
pointing inward. It also helped kind of mask some of the bleachers.
Yeah,
Ugly brown bleacher.
it's
So,
it's not pretty in that gym. I mean, and we had limitations in the gym. Like we couldn't use the gym lights, really. Like that, one they were costly, and I'm not sure if we were paying the utility bill, but I wouldn't want to make them pay that utility bill.
and there was that nice gym light feel of great for basketball.
Yeah,
I don't know how much that hum would have came through on the microphone though.
yeah. It just wasn't practical to turn those things on,
Mm.
so we had to kind of make do the best we could, and you came up with a pretty ingenious solution with just some of these can lights that we had, put them on some trees and said, let's shine them across each other, and that's going to be our house light. And it illuminated enough to work pretty well. I mean, in some instances, maybe we could have ran them hotter. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, we were running them at 10%. We could
Yeah.
have definitely cranked them up. But
We definitely could have, sure.
And like I said, and we would when it was, time to be moving around.
Mhm.
Like I said, it's a safety issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I think one of the arguments I hear about lighting is that the colors and fog machines, as we're going to throw fog machines in with lighting, I suppose, and and stuff like that is distracting, not in the sense that it's taking away from what's happening, but distracting in the sense that I'm no longer worshiping with the congregation, but instead I'm watching the band do it. Kind of like I think if I understand the argument correctly, it's I'm no longer in a worship environment and I'm now at a concert.
yes, and there is a fine line, and there's some times where we can pull effects back, and because we don't want to lose that.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like some people may, if you can build the atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
it may help, it may hurt, but we gotta try to figure out what works best for what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And by atmosphere, you're not saying that we're trying to create some kind of emotional level of response, right? You're not saying that we're trying to get people to get into this emotional state in the middle of worship, are you?
No. I'm saying it's like, okay, we're creating an environment to where you could I mean, if you're not singing, that's fine. If you want to treating it like the band is leading the worship song, but almost like a performance, and you're listening, you're attentive, you're tuned in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's. I mean, you may not be singing, but if you're hearing it, you're listening to it and thinking about it.
Yeah.
To me, that's you do you.
I agree. There are some days where people don't want to sing, and it's
Or in the case of me, you probably just don't need to sing.
I don't know. It's if you go to scripture, it's kind of clear. It says to sing, even. So it's kind of.
Oh, my noise is joyful. Don't get me wrong.
It may not be pretty, but it is joyful. So it's one of those. Everything's a balance. You don't want to go too far one way. You don't want to go too far the other.
Yeah.
So it's always like you said, it's about creating the atmosphere to get that response that we're looking for.
Yeah, and to circle back to part of your question, I kind of had skipped over, but you're talking about lighting versus just the normal morning
Mm-hmm.
versus the TV. And we had, Dave Jones that was here. He helped me a lot with lighting. He had a theatrical background. He had a TV background. So it was just wealth of knowledge. And looking back now, it's like, I got to the point, it's like I wanted to make it look good for, in the seat. That
Yeah.
was my concern. At the time, we were getting away from streaming. We weren't doing that. I was like, I wanted to make it look good from the seat. Lo and behold, I'm having to dig deep and think of those things he told me. Because now we are looking at cameras. That is the primary thing. Hence why we go balance. Oh, trying to balance everything. You don't want it hot, cold. Anyway,
It's hard.
I'm gonna get into the weeds on that, but I will stop. for now.
We can just keep it at it's very hard.
It's
like-
it's time consuming, you know. And
It's hard, especially when your cameras are not that great. You know, like they're good.
Yeah.
They're good cameras. I can't be more like we are privileged to have them. Absolutely. They're not like studio cameras though. So
No.
you have to pay attention and really get into the weeds on like the lighting and everything else to utilize these cameras correctly.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
for instance, when we were setting up last weekend, when I got home, my watch said I climbed 11 flights of stairs. That's a lot of trips up the ladder.
I think that weekend is the only weekend my watch said I actually met all of my goals for the week, which is saying something about my goals for sure. But so I was just playing. I wanted to treat the other side fairly because I didn't want to get up here and just agree with each other about lighting. And
Oh, yeah.
because we do. I think we do agree. I think one of the big points about lighting, I think, is if it's a tool that you have. And if it's a talent that you are given, and think of this as more of the broad sense. So, from like it's if you are the head of the team, and in that team you have the lighting tools. It's the tool that you have. You have the trees. You have all the lights. You have light key. You have all those things, and it's the talent you are given. As in, you have somebody on your team who has that talent, that knowledge, that skill set. It would be a waste not to use it. Now, how you use it is a completely different story, but you almost need to use it because you've been given the talent, you've been given the tools. It would be a waste not to use them.
I mean, if you want to just take color out of the equation,
Mm-hmm.
balancing your lighting just to make it so you can see everybody's even and clear. I mean, yeah, you've kind of, like I said, it's one of those things that it's something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from the simple. I mean, when we were doing in the sanctuary, we were still trying to balance off. All right, what dimmer can we turn to
Yeah.
even this out here? I mean, it's I guess when you're trying to hit a goal and you're trying to look at your end product, and I hate to use the word product, but I mean, we want to make sure if we're putting something out, it's of good quality, as there's nothing. We've all seen that, worship fails.
It's my favorite. Yeah.
Yes, but at the same time, it's like, ooh, don't do that. It's like, okay, oh, I see where he went wrong, and that's where YouTube is a great learning tool for me because I know where people have gone wrong.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things. I want to make sure we're not distracting. Let's just do it good. But at the same time, it's when you say the gifts.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't play an instrument. We know I can't sing. Michelle can vouch for me, and my daughter will too. But it's like it's part of our worship, where we may not, that's where we're giving back. If I can do it, it's what I can do.
I 100%. It's where you are able to serve is how you can worship. I think is true. Your service is a form of worship, absolutely. And on that note, I do want to thank you for all of the service that you do. You may put in like 150% more than any of us ever ask for you. I think that's definitely a true statement.
But hey, it is without a doubt a team effort across the board. I mean, it's everybody that's in and out every week. I mean, I don't care if you toted one black tote in here. I mean, it's one of those things. It literally is a behemoth effort to get this thing going on week in, week out.
True story. True story. Again, I want to thank you for all the service that you do. Thank you definitely for your wealth of knowledge on sound and lighting and all the work that you put in there. Whether that knowledge is something you had or learned on YouTube, I don't care. Don't tell me. But I appreciate all the stuff that you do. For all of you who may still be listening or watching, if you are, thank you for tuning in this week. Please don't forget to like this video. Share it with anybody who you think might be interested. We are now syndicated on both Apple iTunes and Apple Podcasts.
Oh, really?
We
I
are.
I can download this on my phone and listen to it again.
You absolutely can.
Ooh,
You can.
Michelle has been wanting a new podcast to listen to. I think we may have found it.
I hope it's of the quality enough to be that podcast for her.
But seriously, and going back, I'd like to thank Michelle and Reagan and for allowing the time.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I say that's a big deal. And
I want to give a personal thank you to Michelle and Reagan for allowing all of the time you've given.
because I can't tell you how many books Reagan has read underneath a folding table here. Yeah, she's done that quite a bit. But yes, we will put this on their phone tomorrow, and they can listen to it in the car rider line.
That is much appreciated. If you do happen to listen to this on any podcast app of your choice, give it a rating. A high rating, please, if you don't mind, or a low rating, I guess, if you don't like it. If you give it a low rating, please give us a comment in that rating. Tell us what we can do to improve. But again, I've been Jonathan, and thank you for joining us.